Hello, hello. How are you guys today? Come on in, come on in. I am Lyndosha, so I'm so glad to be going live today and to actually be in a rhythm around my YouTube channel. So you guys come on in. I actually got my hair done on yesterday, and so I am trying to figure out how I want to show up and wear my twist. So if you guys have any suggestions on styles or anything like that, just let me know because I'm gonna be figuring out these twists. I don't know if I like it that way or whatever. So I may be playing around with my hair a bit to see what I like with this style on camera. So come on in and we will just go ahead and get started. I'm excited about today's live, and I really just wanted to take a minute and kind of settle into our live on today. Um, it is something that has just been laid on my heart when it comes to building community around this topic and inviting more ladies into our healing community around healing our relationship with men, healing our relationship with money, and also healing our relationships with ourselves. I have been doing a special prayer, not, I wouldn't call it a ritual, but just I've been saying a special prayer during my morning time with God, for you ladies. And so I just kind of felt led today to open that prayer up to you guys. And just if you felt like, yes, Lindasha, we agree, like this, we are serious about our healing journey. So I wanted to just take a moment and I want you guys to think about what made you click on this video. I want you to think about what made you click on this video and what attracts you to how I deliver this message, right? There are so many beautiful women in the world who have created healing communities. And I know that the women who are attracted to me, you're attracted to me for a reason. And so I want you to think about what made you click on this video. Why are you here today? And I really want us to get grounded in our intention. And I want us to get grounded today in being deliberate because the things that I am going to share with you, I believe are going to be life changing and they are going to make you feel more alive and they are going to literally help you guys shift your trajectory in your relationship with money because that is what the things that I share with you guys, that's what it has done for me. And so we're going to stand in agreement today that you receive whatever it is that you're desiring and that you're requesting as it relates to money, right? I'm going to stand with you guys in agreement with that. Whatever made you click on this video, it is my desire that you actually receive that in your life. And this group, this community, if you come into my courses and my course containers, or if you work with me one-on-one, that it is a safe space for you to begin to open up and to begin to start your journey on your next level. So that's what we're standing in agreement with today. And it is so. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started Today, we are going to be talking about one of my favorite I guess it's like a code with money. Hey Pearl, how are you? Lovely braids. Thank you, my love. Thank you. I'm so excited that you're here. So we are going to be talking about one of my favorite codes when it comes to money. And when I say codes, I mean, basically, when it comes to money, there are these principles, there are these tools that people who earn a lot of money, people who are in the top 10, the top 5, and the top 1% as it relates to wealth builders, that they know about money and they operate with money in a different way than, let's say, the people who are at the bottom 10 or the bottom 5 or the bottom 1, right? And often, you kind of think like, well, if I got started in a place that was a deep place of poverty, do I have to stay there, right? And the truth of the matter is the answer is no. You guys know my story. I started in a place of poverty in my money story, and I have completely transformed my money life. And I have also not only completely transformed it, I am still transforming and evolving into becoming the most wealthiest version of myself, the richest version of myself is something that I embrace. So when it comes to the codes of money, I am going to basically share with you guys one of my favorite codes today that it's so completely different than the Lindasha who grew up in a house like my grandmother. Her first house was that I remember was pretty much it should have been condemned. Like there was no running water, just like all this foolishness with that house. And that was, the house of my grandmother, whom I love. She had a lot of love, but we were poor. So my money consciousness started there. And now you guys know I am literally building a mansion. So the where you start with money doesn't mean you have to finish there, but very often people struggle with like transforming and finding and rooting themselves in the real codes of wealth and those principles of wealth that really make a difference. So I'm going to talk to you guys today about my favorite code. It was the code that transitioned me from like literally like, okay, I just have a desire to be wealthy, I have a desire to be rich, but I don't have like the physical money, right? And it was when I was in that stage of like, okay, I know that I'm supposed to be wealthier than what I am. I know I am supposed to, I was on this journey almost like it was like blindsided a little bit. All I had was my desire. This particular code is what continues to allow me to move forward in my wealth building journey, and it is the rule of thumb that rich people know, right? And rich people understand that it is not our cash, our actual money, that makes us rich, but it is our consciousness of money. It is our awareness of how money works. And so today's lesson is going to be called, or today's training is called, How to Turn Your Consciousness into Cash. How to turn, what you're great at, what you have available in your toolbox today, the gifts, the talents, the abilities, all of that stuff. How do you actually turn your awareness into cash? But then not only that, how do you become more conscious of cash itself, right? Because money has an energetic to it. Money itself doesn't have any energy, it's paper, but who you are and what your giftings are and what you believe about what you're worth in this particular world is what actually gives you the foundation to call in more wealth. Because before you possess the wealth, you call it in. And if you guys know, we're doing our manifest with money year-long course right now, whereby we're healing that ability, right? And so if one of the things that I know for me in my journey, I think it's best if I kind of tell a story so you guys can see how this has been illustrated in my life, right? So I'll give a story like that worked pre me becoming a lawyer, and then I'll give a story for how it's worked since I've become a lawyer, because that education, me investing in my consciousness, in my knowledge in that way at the highest level, getting a degree in this world that is pretty much it's either a justice degree or one of the highest financial degrees you can get, was a major portal. It was a major door that God opened in terms of introducing wealth into my life. Another major one, which dealt with my education or my awareness and consciousness, was going to Spelman. So I will give you guys um, examples of how my cash increased by only using my awareness and growing my awareness pre-lawyer life, and then how it has looked after. So, in my pre-lawyer life, one of the things for me that I just kind of started my journey out with, like everybody else that I knew who came from a poverty background, especially if you like grew up in the hood. So if you grew up in the hood, put it in the comments, right? Like if you grew up in the hood, it was kind of very well known that you had people who went to work and made money, or you had people who kind of went into crime and made money, right? So they did things that were illegal in order to make money. Well, the first time think I've told this story on my YouTube channel before, so I'll tell it again. The first time Lyndosha tried to commit a crime to get money, I was actually in the sixth grade, and I ended up like seeing some money laying at a family member's house, and I just took it, right? And I took it because I was in the sixth grade and I wanted to like get some ice cream. It was a very innocent thing, but I still like just took the money. I was like, oh, it's laying right here. I'm going to take the money. They won't care. Well, at the end of the day, they did care. And when you grow up without a lot of money, of course, people notice it. And so I had a family member who came back and was like, hey, one of my uncles, and they were like, hey, did you take, I think it was like $20 from such and such's house, right? And I was like, yeah, I took it. I broke down instantly, right? I totally broke down instantly. I was like, I took it. I wanted to get like something at school, the ice cream at school in the sixth grade, and I didn't have any money and all of this. And so at the time, my uncle looked at me, he was like, well, all you have to do is ask, right? But being the smart girl that I was, I knew that, yo, I can see that money isn't like the most free flowing thing. I was very intelligent. I was very aware, much like you guys, right? You kind of can look around the room, you can read the room pretty well, you can see what's going on. Like, you're not crazy. The women who follow me, you're actually generally very, very intelligent. And so when this happened, I remember like falling apart and I was like, okay, I'm never going to steal to get money again, right? I'm never going to do that. That's not in my heart. I'm not made for it. And I think it was actually one of the things that kind of helped me to know that I needed to be on the lawyer side, whereby I helped the people who were in trouble versus being the person that was in trouble. Because, girl, in the hood, you also learned you can't be a snitch, right? So if you guys know what I mean, just put that in the comments when you watch this. So, like, no, you cannot be out here snitching coming from the hood. So I knew I couldn't be the snitch, but I also knew I wasn't the criminal because I just cracked and told on myself, right? So I was like, okay, that leaves the lawyer. You help the people who are in trouble. So that is probably also one of the things that influenced my journey there. Well, after that fact, one of the things that I learned is, okay, I'm going to go get a job. And my job at the time was, okay, I'm going to go up to the mall, like hanging out at the mall. I'm going to see when I turned 16, was able to get a job. That's how I'm going to get money. Well, one thing about your consciousness is for my 16-year-old girl self, for the 12-year-old or 11-year-old who was like, oh, I want something. I don't know what to do to get it. I just took the money that I saw in the family member's house, right? Which spiritually you're committing a crime at that point. You're sowing spiritual crimes. And I had a loving uncle who stepped in the gap for me and was like, you don't want to do that. Okay. I didn't know nothing about karma. I didn't know nothing about jail or any of that at the time. I just had loving male family members that were like, you don't go this way. If you want something, just ask for it. Cool. Well, I didn't necessarily want to ask because I was like, I could see that, my grandmother and my aunt and my mom were working hard. There wasn't a ton of money. So I decided, well, I got to work hard, right? My consciousness evolved, right? Getting back to the point of this video. My awareness at that time was like, well, okay, now I got to work. I'm not going to steal to get the money. Let me work for it. So I got the job. And at that point, as my consciousness evolved, right, I consistently was working in whatever jobs that I had. And during that time was getting a biweekly paycheck. Some of the jobs paid a weekly paycheck. And for my needs at that season of time, that was enough, right? One of the things that I'll say as you are in your wealth building journey, no matter where you are, I'm telling you about the beginning of my journey. You also have the middle of your journey. And right now I'm at not the end of my journey, but I'm at the highest level of my journey, whereby I'm developing the wealthy woman who has money coming in from so many places. Like I can't even, I can't keep up with it, right? I have people call me literally this week. I've received several calls from people who were like, hey, Dot, we want to meet with you, bankers that want to sit down and see how they can get my business. Literally, I have a lunch meeting tomorrow. And the banker called out of the blue, right? My secretary was like, Miss Jameson, such and such is on the line on Tuesday. And I was like, who? Like, I was like, who? And she was like, oh, she's from such and such bank. And I was like, oh, okay, we'll put her through. And she's like, hey, we'd like to sit up. We like to set up and talk with you. We hear about what you're doing in the real estate world, right? And you guys know me as an attorney or as a coach on YouTube. You don't really know about my real estate life. You don't really know about the strategy that my family has used for our investing life. I don't talk about that as much just simply because my husband is not like, he's the one that leads some of that part and he's not a big camera person. And so I just kind of like, I try to respect that. But at the end of the day, I am building this in this place of wealth where it's coming from all over. But in the beginning of my journey, the thing that you have that is the most wealthy thing that you have is your awareness of cash and your awareness of how cash works. And as you evolve on your journey, one of the most important things that you need to pick up on your rich girl journey, whenever you get to your rich girl stage, right? After your beginning, I'm new to this stage. One of the biggest things that you want to pick up is you want to consistently increase your awareness of how people around you are actually making money, right? And so, one of the things that we are doing in the manifesting with God, beyond teaching these codes of wealth and teaching you the how wealth works, where you now are the magnet for wealth, right? I may be sowing this seed partly just so that I can chronicle my journey while I still want to do it, right? There may become a point in my wealth building journey. I don't want to get on YouTube and talk about this or sow seeds or whatever else or create the courses. But for right now, I have a teacher's heart. So while it's here, I'm talking about it, right? Before you get there, the very first thing you have to do is start to increase your knowledge around cash. That means, if you have people around you, and if you have any questions, put it in the chat so we don't have to have a monologue. You guys know I love, love, love talking to you. I love hearing your questions, and I want to make sure I'm hitting what you need, right? I don't want to be missing the mark, and y'all are like, "Girl, we over here, and I'm over here," right? So when you ask a question, that bridges the gap for me. But nevertheless, that is one of the most important codes whenever you are looking to be as rich as you want to be. If you guys like me, I have this really core thing about me that says whenever I want something, I should be able to get it, right? And honestly, if you live in your feminine energy, a lot of people who report living as a feminine essence being, we just are naturally like this, right? Our desires are just out of this world, the types of things that we want and the types of things that we're attracted to, and to the point where sometimes with the masculine, if you have not met a man who is just as confident in his ability to provide those things, or he has not manifested, or it's not even a desire of his, right? If you're connected to men and that's not even a desire of theirs to supply in that way, right? Because that's the masculine roles. The feminine's role is the desire. The masculine's role is wanting to provide that desire. But if you have a man that has his own issues and gaps and he has his own wealth blocks, then you may really struggle with understanding yo, this is what I want, right? This is who I am. And so when you have those core desires, the part of me that really went to Lyndosha, you get to be wealthy, Lyndosha, you get to be rich despite whoever is with you or not with you, was me knowing that I can just whatever I want, I can get it because it's available to me. And I know that that is something that God wants for the bulk of us as well. So that's the way that it looked pre law school for me, right? My money consciousness was about, oh, this job is paying $10 an hour, I'm going to go there. This job is paying $12 an hour, I'm going to go there. Oh, this one's paying 15, this one's paying 20, right? And so simultaneously I was doing those jobs, but I was also investing in my education, much like you're doing now if you're watching this video. I had not gotten to the point where I started joining communities intentionally, in terms of manifesting with God and a few others. I have a number of courses and various courses that I've taken and communities that I've joined around money so that I could get to this level, right? So I had not gotten to that point at the beginning of my journey. A major transition for me in my journey when it came to wealth building, and it's much like you guys, if you are that woman that knows I'm supposed to be able to receive more, you love God, you hear about this God that's all great in giving, but at the end of the day you're like, okay, he's great in giving, but I see all of this lack, right? It doesn't match. Your spiritual belief doesn't match your physical belief, and you like to bring some continuity to that, right? So the very second thing that happened for me was outside of my education, going to Spelman, and then of course then going to law school, which as a caveat, studies show that that people tend to earn better with the more education that they have. It can be formal education, the way that my life has gone, or I have certain degrees and markers. But it can also be self-study, right? So I'm done with my formal education, right? I'm not going back to anybody's school unless even if somebody is teaching, paying me to teach, I'm building my own coursework here, getting paid to teach, right? So teaching you guys and welcoming individuals who will continue to find my work in the years to come. It's building passive income over time. You guys know that at the end of the day, like I'm being paid to teach here, so I don't know, it have to be a really great deal for me to go back to school. But I am always continuing to grow and study about money in terms of my own self education, which is something that I want to caveat for you guys in terms of growing your cash consciousness, right? In terms of you growing your awareness about cash, it is rooted in your education, and your education is rooted in you, right? This is about you having the power, you having the power to go out and get the knowledge. Consciousness is about your awareness, you increasing your awareness around this very important thing called money. We use money for everything and every day, right? It's one of my favorite topics to talk about, actually, which is why I started this channel. My friends and family are probably sick of me. Like, they don't want to talk about money with diet. Some people have their own blogs. So I've learned, let me create my containers and show up in a space where I can talk as freely as I want to about money and really share with you guys and open it. So the first thing you want to do when you're building your cash consciousness is you want to educate yourself, right? You want to, if you're in the stage where you're consuming books, if there's a book that's really speaking to you right now, take in what that book is saying. And we live in an information age. Of course, information is so cheap right now. So what you're going to want to do is you want to listen to the person that has like a strong sense of like empowerment around money, right? So one of the things that I try to do in gritting my YouTube videos and in gritting my courses is I want to make sure I'm bringing that energy of power, and I'm bringing that energy of competence so that you feel and actually learn how to do this for yourself, right? That you don't need diet anymore. As the if you talking about the self-care queen course, those of you who have coached with me in terms of getting your self-respect together, getting your sense of personal dignity together, that is a huge precursor. That is a huge precursor to you being ready often to command wealth and enter into your very wealthy and magnetic wealth stage, right? So I know if you are coming to this video because you're learning about money, but you're like, Lyndosha, I really, really do struggle with my self confidence. I really do struggle with my sense of personal dignity. I really do struggle with my self-care, with showing up, with being able to communicate who I am and just really love myself, right? I think one of the things that gets a lot of women when it comes to our cash consciousness, when it comes to the blocks that we have around even learning more with money, right? You have women who are super scared. We're super scared to learn from money. I had that coming out of poverty, right? There was this, I wanted money, but I was afraid of it, right? I was afraid of what people would think about me, or would I have friends, right? Will my friends still love me? Will I have community? Will my family disown me? That was a huge block that I had to overcome when I started posting publicly about money. What would my man think? Would he, get mad if I ever out earned him? Would a man be comfortable with being with me still if I go out and I'm talking about, what it looks like to bring money in and what it looks like to call money in from God? If you're spiritual like me, it starts a lot of times with prayer and our desires. And so at the end of the day, if you're struggling with just the confidence part, you may not be ready for manifest money with God. You may need to go back to the self-care queen course and start investing in your inner work journey there, right? That's one of the places I highly encourage women to women who are at certain levels to like go back. You always need to be building on your self-care and your sense of personal confidence, because the more confident you are in your being, right, the more money is easier, right? You have personal confidence in other areas of your life, so when you come to the table, you're not afraid to tell a banker that you need $3.8 million for the next property you want to buy, and you're not afraid to communicate, what those markers in the properties are. You understand, rent, occupancy, and all of the different terms that are involved in it. Before you can get there and have an advanced conversation, you may first need to go back and say, girl, we got to reset our actual personal identity. And so if that's making sense to you, then put a heart in the chat and say, girl, that's me. And I will also make sure that's linked to this video. The second thing, after you begin to invest in your education when it comes to your money consciousness, you want to literally sit back. If you're going to turn your consciousness into cash, which you're turning your knowledge and your awareness into cash, the very next thing that you want to do outside of your education is you want to start thinking about your embodiment, right? Your embodiment of your cash. What do I mean when I say embodiment? What I mean is, embodiment means that you're living true. You're living true to what you know. So the first step was educate. The second step is embody. And one of the things about the embodiment stage of money, and we get into this very deeply. So I'm giving you guys kind of like the framework for the year with Manifest with God, the framework for the year of how we move forward in increasing our being's capacity to hold wealth. Because a lot of this is about when you overcome your limiting beliefs and your stories and all your junk around money, you literally become the type of person that can hold more wealth, right? Money doesn't come and go out, and money doesn't come and have to sit for forever and you can't spend it. All of these issues that come up, you become a being that is very confident with how you receive money, how money goes out, your high vibrational spending. We'll talk about all of those things in the course. But when it comes to embodiment, the most important thing is that you are now living in honor. You're living in honor of what you know about money, right? So if you are a business owner, right? And let's say you're like, hey, Lyndosha, I'm a hairstylist and I literally like am a great at these three different styles. Everybody keeps coming to me to get these styles. And I make a lot of money, or I make a significant amount of money this way, right? Well, your education would be the skills you needed to learn and how to do the style. How would you protect people's hair if it's a weave style like what I have, or if you're a natural hairstylist, you learned about hair follicles and you learned about, hair moisturizers, the shampoos. That's all of your consciousness that is surrounded by one of the ways in which you bring in money and which you turn your awareness into cash. Well, with that cash, the next step after your education is your embodiment, right? So the money that you have made from your skill set as a very talented hairstylist or painter or whatever else, the very next thing you want to do is you want to now literally take that cash. And to me, I have like 3 to 4 different categories. Actually, I probably mainly do two, but for the sake of the video, we'll talk about 3 to 4. I have 3 to 4 categories that I put my cash into. And all of these categories are labeled in ways that are like juicy for me, because I like to have a great emotional relationship around my money. So when it comes to spending, most people call spending like they'll be like, oh, I gotta set my budget. Oh, I gotta set my budget. What's my budget, right? And so I kind of got to this place with the word budget where I was like, oh my God, it's so dull. I don't want to do it. I kind of started associating it with being a bit boring. And I was like, I don't want to do a budget. And so I have my Excel spreadsheet. I have my budget that I look at like in the old school, right? But I had to evolve it for where I am with wealth now, which is in a more juicy place with money. And so now that I am approaching money with this new level of excitement and this new level of juiciness, my budget is called now my high vibrational spending list, right? And Y'all are like, Lindasha, a high vibrational spending list. What is that? Right? What in the world is that? Well, a high vibrational spending list is what I use to say what I want my money to go to, right? I literally am in a place where it doesn't matter if I enjoyed spending money on something 5 years ago. If I don't enjoy it today, my money doesn't go to it, right? My money goes towards the things that I literally am like, oh my God, yes. Yes. Oh my God, yes. It and I know this may be like what's the word? Sort of like a leap for some of you guys if you're watching this, but the truth of the matter is like I even do that with my bills, right? If there's a bill that is like on my when I look at my accounts and I'm looking at what got paid, and if there's a bill that I'm like, I don't like paying for this, right? Maybe the company, I don't like talking to the people when I call the company, or they make it so hard. I have one company, I'm like, y'all make it so hard for anything to happen. Like if there's any issue, you guys make it so hard for us to get someone to come out here to deal with it, right? You're super advanced in technology, but you done left the whole people part, right? And they kind of frustrate me, right? So I'm in the process of like, is there a better company out there, right? Because I'm not feeling spending money with this company anymore. Or let's say they're the best in the market, right? And so there's nobody else better, but they really do need to up like their customer service or something in that area, I will reduce my services with them down to a place where I'm like, okay, I'm happy to work with you here because trying to work with you on this higher level, y'all not ready yet, right? Y'all aren't providing that service and that value that I really love. So I will reduce my services with them. And a lot of people kind of find that to be really interesting about rich people. One of the things that I learned from the community of women that I'm around and also the community that I am inviting you guys into is that this is what we do, right? We sit, meaning we're not like penny pinching or doing anything like that, but we are very aware of when we spend our money, how is it? What are we getting in return? And the feminine wants a lot of joy in return when she spends her money. So when I shop, and I know the husbands, if you're a husband or a man and you're watching this, you're gonna like this particular statement that I'm making. So, like, you know how husbands are a lot of times men are more cost conscious than women are. Like, they're cost conscious because they have historically been the providers. And so they were responsible for making sure that the tribe stayed healthy, right? So you may look at your husband and be like, oh my God, he's getting on my nerves. He's trying to govern my spending or whatever else. I can't get what I want. Well, one side of that is very, very positive. Some men do take it overboard, but one thing that's very positive about that is they were responsible for making sure that the tribe made it to the next generation. So they had to be mindful. And also they were the ones that were risking their lives going out hunting. So they were like, okay, no, you can't eat all the buffalo I just killed. This need to last us, right? And so that's still hardwired in a lot of men's like natural programming as men. So when you are dealing with your husband, remember that and find a way to be grateful for that part of him, because that is going to be the part of a man that keeps us moving forward, right? That's something we should be grateful for all the men in our lives who go out and work and provide for us. That should be there. With that said, as a woman, we know our desires can go and extend beyond that. So when you are expanding into your feminine, one of the things you do in your goddess energy, because we talked about that too, is that you have to use a lot of your imago Dei or your god-like energy. The imago Dei is the word for in the Christian world whereby you're made in the image of God, right? The imago Dei of God, and you have to enter into that and both hold gratitude for the cost effective part of you while also being grateful and having expectancy for God to open up all of these other new avenues for you to get your desires met. That way you don't feel pigeonholed by what's going on with the man, nor do you feel like restricted, nor does the man. I mean, you can't control if your man is doing his inner work around money, but you don't have to constrict yourself. God gets to supply your desires through so many methods, and now you're open for all of the new ways that God can supply it, right? So in your goddess energy, when you are when you're using that personal power and turning your cash into consciousness, one of the things that you want to do is you want to look at your high vibrational spending list. put if budget is like not for you, think about the things that light you up to spend, right? And so that's what it is for me. So I don't buy jewelry or bags or clothes. A lot of times I pass on so many things in the store because it's not the thing that's lighting me up at the moment, right? There are vacations that I'll pass on because I'm like, it doesn't light me up to go there. So I only spend my money on things that light me up, right? Bills and all. So that's just kind of one of the tools that you guys want to think about when you're talking embodiment is that you're walking out a very intimate relationship with your cash and you know where your cash is going and you keep your cash committed to high vibrational activities. The third tip I'm going to leave you guys with before we go and we move on is that after you have embodied turning your consciousness, your awareness into cash, right? The third thing that I see women really struggle with when it comes to manifesting money with God, actually getting the cash, the abundance of cash that they really want from multiple areas, setting those plays in motion, is I would say there are so many blocks to you ladies receiving, right? There are so many blocks to women actually receiving the cash that you are desiring. And so when you have deep receiving blocks, one of the things that I want you to begin to train yourself with is train yourself to think, what don't I trust? Okay. This is the thing. You have manifesting money with God. You have all that is available in God, right? Like people everywhere, companies everywhere, opportunities everywhere going on around you. But for whatever reason, you look in your life and you're like, I don't see the fruit of this manifested. When you have receiving blocks, the other side of a receiving block is a trust block, right? So I want you to start working on your ability to trust again. And when I say trust, I mean trust in the area of money is what we're talking about, right? If you're struggling with trusting in the area of men and all of that, that would be my mating and dating course. You go over there. But right now we're going to be dealing with you cannot receive what you don't trust. Right? The moment you have a suspicious eye whenever anybody's talking about money, if you have oh my God, my friend tried that didn't work for her. The doubt, the suspicion, the all of that darker energy means that you have not worked out what it would look like for God to actually bring that money into your life and you to actually receive it, right? And so one of the things that I know that helped me when it came to opening up my ability to receive, aka trust, in that way that God was going to provide for me. You may not trust the people so much. Maybe you have a lot of money wounds with your relationships, like your family was they take money, they don't pay back, all that kind of stuff. I know I had that in my 20s and I was like, I had to cut that is short, okay? Because that will damage your ability to receive money on higher levels when you are constantly letting other people basically rape your money, right? You have no boundaries. You don't hold people to the boundary. They can break your boundary. You're still going to go give it to them again. The truth of the matter is, and I'm going to give you some tough love, you probably don't trust yourself. You keep saying you don't trust other people, right? And so now you're blocking off all of the ways God could be blessing you because you say you don't trust other people. But the truth of the matter is, anytime you have a trust issue, you have a trust issue with yourself. You're not trusting your ability to judge and discern a situation properly and to know how far to go or to how to keep your boundaries, right? So you need practice in holding up your personal power in that way to say, I know that my cousin, I love them to death, but they have money issues. They literally will borrow and not pay back. So cousin, I love you, but you can't get my money, right? Or if you are dating someone and you know that you're the type of woman you should never, Lord, y'all take what I'm about to say in love. As much as possible, you should not be giving a grown man money to fund his life. You should not be funding a grown man's existence. shy of your husband who was a provider and he got hurt or an accident happened or something like that, barring some sort of major issue, and this man has already proven himself to be like your provider, he's just down and out, I caution greatly against that. But let's say you're learning, you're plugged into my community now, you know better now. You may have a lot of wounds with taking care of things that should have never been your responsibility, right? So you have a trust issue with yourself. And so we're going to be working to repair those wounds in manifesting money with God. And I will share with you guys some of my gritted, like, boss babe moments where I've had to like really boss up and be like, okay, no, even down to my time and my energy. I'm serious about it. Like, I don't let people order my time and energy around like that, right? That's something you have to hold very precious to you as a woman, because before we are called to be out here earning money, primarily that's the masculine's job, right? The masculine wants to earn money so that it can provide for us. So there's a way that you even do this work when you're married, when you found a suitor who wants to marry you. You have to still be very mindful of the fact that he's the provider, and giving him that room to do that in a way that makes him feel confident and respected, because that's a major love, that's a major like need for the masculine, is to be respected and to be appreciated. So no matter how well God blesses your money making activities, you still have to know that if you've chosen a man that you respect and you see him as a king, that really a lot of that all goes back to the men, right? You have a man's last name. So being able to appreciate the fact that you don't always have to earn, and I can sit down if I don't want to be on YouTube or earn money, I don't have to, or I earn money and I spend it on what I want to spend it on. When you get to the point where you can appreciate men because you now have good boundaries, you're not taking care of brothers, cousins, all men, all your males, right? That is a switch that happened in some communities due to like deep poverty wounds, that the women stepped up in the masculine way beyond what we were ever supposed to. So we have to learn how to pull back and give the men the opportunity to get that respect from us, because that's life-giving to them as they grow. So your third area that you want to work on when you're turning your cash into consciousness is your ability to receive, aka trust. And your trust is more about you, right? It's about you trusting your own judgment. You can read a money situation very well and know how to maneuver and move forward. And so if you guys are really, really like, Lyndosha, you speaking to me, girl, I'm taking notes or whatever else. Number one, text me your notes. Do your little videos. Some of you guys do videos of your note taking and you'll DM me. I don't share them unless you tell me I can, but you guys will take your notes. Put your takeaways in the chat for the women who are coming behind you so that we can see and learn together as a community. You guys can see each other, see who's working on this, on these things, and you can just begin to connect with each other online. You guys know I found my next level rich girl community online. Okay. We were not afraid to talk and connect, even if it was just us connecting with, our leaders in the groups. So make sure you're doing that. Like the videos, subscribe so that more people can see it. You guys know that helps the algorithm with YouTube. And when you're ready, of course, I know a lot of you've been following me for a while, so just make sure you hit those things for me. And then when you're ready, transition into one of the courses in the groups. We're active in the Manifest Money with God right now, a year-long container with me. So if you enjoy our snippets on YouTube, then consider joining that group to be with me for a year. We're also going to Paris on Valentine's Day next year with this group. The event is going to be called Miss Millionaires. So if you know, like, you may not be ready for the year-long container, but you do want to come to us at our live intensive in Paris, be on the lookout for that. We are still getting the details, but it will be in Paris on February the 14th, 2024. I'm getting the details in terms of which property we're going to be at and all of that. So, but I'll have your tickets available for sale probably by the middle of this month. So we'll try to make sure to go back on those videos, but you'll be able to go on my website and see it. So we're going to be enrolling into Miss Millionaires Paris 2024. Valentine's Day. It's going to be lit. And we are just going to combine, this idea of love with our money, not the love of money and all that stuff being evil, but inviting money into our love, which is what I believe is the greatest expression of what the Bible meant with this. Money for me is, it's like I am an expression of love, right? God is consistently like doing things in my life that light me up. And I live my life very connected to love. And money is invited into my love, right? Money aids me as I'm doing this loving work on the earth. And so we're going to talk about that in Miss Millionaires is how to receive money into your love versus what a lot of people do is they kind of step out of love to get money and wonder why they're not happy. We don't do that over here. We invite it in. We don't leave our love now. That's what you want when you ain't got nothing else. When you ain't got nothing else, you have your own presence that you are deeply, deeply, deeply enjoying. And so the self-care queen is about that. If you struggle with loving yourself and not having a great sense of presence, go check out the self-care queen. If you are like, no girl, we getting our money together this year, manifest money with God. If you are still on the dating side of things, look at my marriage and mating dating course. One of my favorite lessons in there is make dating fun again, and also how to overcome heartbreak. I have a huge masterclass in there about how you do that initial sweep of heartbreak. I kind of teach you guys what it looked like for me when I was going through a season of deep heartbreak and how I healed all of that dark energy out of there. And I show up and put things into the courses randomly. So once you're in, your grandmother in. So I relaunch it, you're free. Self-care queen, when we do our next cohort, you're already in there. You just show up to the lives on Zoom. All right, ladies, love y'all, love y'all. You share your notes with me, and I will talk to you next week. I'll let you guys know when we're meeting next week, okay? All right, bye-bye.